Okay, so here's the box for the new Flashback 9, and the box is small. I'm going to slide over last year's Flashback 8. Now, I never purchased the high definition versions, the golds, for two reasons. One, I thought they were a little expensive for them, and I really hated the fact that the HDMI cable came out of the left side of the unit. I had a prototype unit of the Flashback HD where the cable went out the back, and I have no idea why they changed that, but that just really, I know it sounds stupid, but it was just enough for me to not want to have it. I didn't like that at all. But you can see the box himself, get a little bit closer to get like that, you can see that the box itself is smaller, although it does contain the same items. You still have the Flashback console, 2 joysticks, and a power supply. So let's take a look and see, well, how they made the box smaller. Me personally, I kind of wish they kept the box the same size, only because, as you can see, I already have all the other ones, and now this box is not going to match. Again, stupid reason, but let's just see what they did here. Okay, so we have the last year's version, the Atari Flashback 8, and the Flashback 9. You can see, first of all, just by looking at the box, we went from 105 games to 110 games. Now, this is not the HD, which was the high definition version from last year. This is the standard component out, your composite left and right audio channels. And this had no way to expand the games. This simply had 105 games built in. One of the new things over here is that they went from the old composite out to HDMI. Now, this unit basically was about $100 last year, and now it's about $40. So I think that's a much fairer price for the Atari Flashback HDMI out, which is why I picked it up. And the other bonus is not only a couple more games, which is fine, but it does offer all the features of the HD, like you can rewind games, you can save games, you're outputting 720p, although the Atari 2600 really didn't have that kind of resolution to begin with, so that's just fine. Now, this does come with wired controllers. The HD from last year came with wireless controllers. I don't think this even supports wireless controllers. We'll find out, I guess. But it does come with 2 wired controllers. And in the past, I was okay with the joysticks. The paddles from AtGames and the joysticks were pretty good. We'll see how these fare up to previous versions. And of course, this has not only the HDMI out, but it has an SD card slot. And on Atari Age, there is a way to upgrade the firmware and start loading other games. And that is a good reason, I think, for this guy here. Again, we'll try to see how it works, but we're going to see. Well, the first thing you notice, obviously, is the 2 boxes are 2 different sizes. So let's open up and see why they did that and ruining my nice collection of boxes on their side. So let's see what we have here. I'm going to open him up, and we're going to open him up. Okay, we had the small, nice manual they had here. I always kind of like these kind of manuals, and it looks like they changed that to a poster. So I prefer this, a nice manual like this, versus this looks like a poster, and I'm never a fan of these posters. That's exactly what this is. So I don't really like this at all. These big pull-out posters, not a fan. I know they're probably trying to get more information on one page, but I'm not even going to look at it because I do not like that at all. So I'm just going to put that aside. And you can see the 2 consoles. They simply, I guess, condensed how the joysticks were in the box. So again, it's a smaller box. Some people may like that. For me, for my collection wall, it kind of changed it a little bit, but that's just me. So we have the 2 joysticks here on the old version, and they're okay. I mean, these are, you can always use real Atari joysticks if you're not a fan of theirs. You can see the console here. It's very light, and it had the one audio and video out here, and your standard AC adapter here, 5 volts. And, you know, it was okay. So that was last year's model. Of course, you have your power supply here. Now, in the new one, we have the power supply here, and they've gone to a micro USB, which probably means they have it using some type of Android or all-winter board in there, which is fine. People have probably tons of these lying around anyway, so that's fine. And then we have the joysticks here. And let me see how this feels over here. Let me pull this one back out again. Come here, you little devil. Yeah, come out. There we go. They definitely look the same, and their feel is about the same. So the joysticks themselves feel the same. Now, one thing they did change, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, these joysticks don't have any markings. They did mark P2 for player 2 on this one because there's no special functions on this joystick, but they did mark a little P2 on it, so you would know that. And I'm assuming this one's going to say P1 on it, and this one does say P1, and you can see there's more functions here on the controller. There's a menu button, select start, and rewind. So when you press this during gameplay, you can basically cheat and not die and go back a little bit in your game. Okay, so let's take a look at the console itself. Let's pull this guy out here. Come here, little devil. And here's the console. Looks exactly the same, but it does feel a smidgen heavier. Actually, it is. This feels a little bit heavier than the old version here, and it's probably because of the proprietary board they're using in here, which is probably some type of Android or all-winter board. But it feels a little bit more substantial, I guess, than the other one. But the controls are the same on here. We have power, start, your left and right difficulty, and select. Still missing is the color black and white switch. Only a couple of games use that, but since this can potentially load homebrews, not having the black and white button, or the black and white and color button, will affect some games. 2 joystick ports here on the front. We can see on this side here is the all-important new SD card slot, and this is something that is first for the console version of this, which should let us load additional games. Now, the Atari Portable, which I do like, already had an SD card slot, and you can load multiple games on it. And as you can see, there is no HDMI slot over on the unit here, and it is on the back, which is nice. So a standard cell phone charger, micro USB over here for 5 volts, and the HDMI is on the back where I like it, not sitting out on the side of the console. But that's it here. Again, I don't know if this supports wireless controllers. I guess I'll have to look in that book, but I have a funny feeling that this does not. So if you did want wireless controllers, you're probably going to have to look at the Flashback HD from last year. But let's take a look at this little guy, plug him in, and see how it plays. Okay, I've come back down here to my studio. I actually tried the Flashback here in a couple of monitors, and it didn't work on some. Now, the monitors I did try were 1080p, and this is only outputting 720p. So the monitors I had probably did not support that resolution that this is putting out. But this TV, it does seem to work, so let's fire this thing up and see what we get. It is coming up with a 720p signal. And it is a sharp picture. And I noticed right away, I'm not sure if you're hearing that really bad cheesy music they have on here. I think there's a way to turn it off. Oh, but that music's gonna drive you crazy real quick. So we have our 2 joysticks here, again marked P1 and P2. The P1 has all these options on here that pretty much mimic what's on your controller over here. So even though they're wired, it is a pretty good length of wire here, so you can sit up a little bit further away from it. But first thing I'm going to do is turn off that music. So I'm going to take a look down here in settings. Let's see if we have an option for that. I'll have to go over here. The one thing I will say is the menu systems on all the AT games do tend to drive me a little crazy. Let's go back to here. There we go. And we have backup and restore from SD card, delete save states, background music. Let's see if we get over to that. Thank God that does give you the option to turn it off. Okay, great. And there's different bezels to put around the games, because the Atari games are not going to take up the full screen. So there's other options. You can have nothing or some colors. I'm going to leave it, whatever it is, as stock. And they break the games down to your favorites, recently played alphabetical, only Atari games, only paddle games. Now, on the other flashbacks, including the portable, you can load Indy 500, but none of them support the driving controller. Paddle games and the driving controller are not fully the same. The paddles on the Atari only turn about 180 degrees or so, where the driving controller goes around continuously. And to play Indy 500 with a joystick is an atrocity. So I will try and load later on. This is not yet flashed, so this is still running stock. We'll try and flash it and see if we can load the Atari's original Indy 500. And I have a paddle controller, and we'll see if that works. That'd be great if it does, because so far, none of them have. Let's go up here and take a look at the games. We can get back to the menu here. So in alphabetical, so we have a whole bunch of games in here. And this pretty much the same you're going to get in all the other flashbacks. And this does include 5 additional ones, which, you know, I'm not going to go through right here. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other videos showing all the games that are listed. But it's nice to have Asteroids Deluxe, which is a like a hack of that one. But let's take a look at that one, just because I do like Asteroids, and I always liked Asteroids Deluxe. So we're going to highlight it, hit the fire button, gives us some information about the game, and we're going to play the game. So let's hit the button. And you can see here, there is one of the bezels that was set up in the game on the outside. Some flicker, which is what you would get in the real Atari, so that's not a problem. And basically just modify it a little bit. Let's see if we can start the game here. So we're going to press the start button here. Oh, I hit the rewind button. Oh, not far back enough. Let's hit it again. We'll go back a little bit further. Let's go to there. So you can kind of cheat. It's kind of nice, but it kind of takes away from the simplistic Atari when you can when you can cheat that way. But it's kind of interesting to have that option. I'm just gonna let it go this time. Wow, that was cheap. I'm taking that one back. Wow. Even with those rewinds, doesn't always help. All right, so let's see if we can do something here. There is a shield. Here we go. Although in this shield, it looks like the asteroid just would pass right through you versus bounce off. But maybe that's a different level in the game. And I will say that you can use the original Atari joysticks on here. Of course, you would not get these options. The joystick itself has a lot of play in it. I mean, it works, but there's a lot of play before you actually get a register. They're all pretty much that way, but they do work. I mean, if you press far enough, they're going to register it. I want to go back to the menu here, and we can save where I'm in the game right now, resume, or quit. I'm going to go down to quit. And there's a scanline filter. We'll look at that in another game. I don't like that at all, but let's go down to quit game. And we're going to go back, so let's see if we go back here. Have we actually go back to the menu button again. There we go. So let's pick a game that was in Ready Player One, which is Adventure, which again was a very fun game. I liked it as a kid very much. So I'll go into the game. We'll press the button. Again, it gives you all the options for the game here. You can add it to your favorites if you like, but there's really not that many in here right now. I don't really see a need to do that, but it's an option that's there. It's always nicer to have an option and not use it than not have an option and want it. So I give my hat off to them for that. So let's go press the game button again, play the game. And we have our select button on here, which is the first large button. We can pick the different stages. It only has 3 different stages. Simplest is 1. And we'll press the start button here. There we go. So we have our castle. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure if I can turn the scan line on now. Let me see if I can menu. And I can. So I'm going to go down to scan line filter, press the button, turn it on, and then press menu button again and go back. And resume game. I don't know how that comes up to you, but that looks horrible. Horrible. I don't know why anyone would actually want those scan lines. I don't like it at all. At all. I've seen a lot of emulators do scan lines well. This one is simply taking every other line away. Again, the 2600 did not have a lot of resolution, but that is actually hurtful to the eye. So I'm going back to menu, and I'm turning up that scanline filter, and I guarantee you I will never use it, and I highly doubt anyone out there will ever use that option. So I'm going to go back to resume game. That looks so much better. And when you're playing these on HD TV, you do want a good picture. And again, I can't imagine why you'd want those scan lines in that fashion. Just want to kill a dragon. Or kill a duck. Come on, I'll let you walk into it. Kill yourself. So, Adventure was a really good game, and it does look well, but see, the graphics are very simple. So let's get a game that's got a little bit more to it. So, just for giggles, I'll go to save slots, and you can see we have 5 save states. It's on number 1. I'm going to pick it, and I'm assuming it's there. So I'll do is, let me go back, let me actually go back to the game, resume game. I'm going to move somewhere else. Let me go back to where the dragon was and quit the game. Let's go back. Let's go quit game. I'm going to quit the game. Press the button on it. Okay, now go back into the game. And it gives you options here to load a save state. So I'm going to pick my first slot, and I'm right back where I left off. So that's kind of nice. Again, Atari games are not like an NES game, and later on we had these long, drawn-out games like a Zelda or something like that. Very simple games, but Atari games are pretty repetitive. And a game like Asteroids or Breakout, if you get a good game going, phone rings, or you have to leave, you can save where you were and come back and continue from there. But a lot of times, in a fast action game like that, you're cold coming into the game, so I don't know how well it'll work. But again, very nice to have the option of it. I don't know how much use it'll get, but it is, again, rather nicer to have the option and not use it versus not have the option and want it. So again, I'll take my hat off to At Games for that. So we go back to the menu. I'm going to go quit this game. Oops, let's go back here, quit the game. And we'll go back to the menu, set the menu button again. And let's go scroll through real quick of these other games we have on here. Let me go down to the bottom so you guys can really, if you want, pause the video. You see the games in here. There's a lot of good games in here. The Centipede was a good game. You have Activision games on here like Chopper Command, Breakout. Some very, very fun games in here. Classic Combat with a sequel that was made. Some games that, you know, are very old, like the Dodgeum, very early generation Atari. Now, you can see we have Frogger on here. The Frogger and the Space Invaders, we'll go to that game right now, is not the original ones released. They show you the box art, which seems to be something At Games is doing a lot lately, with showing box art for games they don't include in the system, hint, hint. But if we go to the Frogger right here, we'll run the game, and it's actually a pretty good rendition of the arcade game. It's missing music. When I start the game, there's no music at all. But it's a pretty good arcade recreation. But again, a lot of people wanted to play, the Parker Brothers version. And fortunately, with the SD card slot on here, we can always load the original on here, so it's not a big deal. And, it depends on you. Some people may like they put this on here, but true Atari people would rather have seen the Parker Brothers version on here, especially when you show the box art for the Parker Brothers version on here. So we go out, I'm going to go back to the menu. Quit. You know what? Let's just see what this looks like with scanline filter. The Atari game didn't look very good, but let's see what the arcade recreation looks like with the filter on. Let's go back to resume. And I really didn't notice much of a change. I'm not sure if you guys see it any different either. Let me go back. And it is set to on, so I'm going to set it now to off, see if I notice any difference. Back to the game. Yeah, I don't think it even worked in the game. I don't see any difference at all. Let's do it one more time, because I didn't see any difference. Scanline filter right now is, let's see, I'm assuming that's on. Okay, there was a slight, oh my goodness, that was a difference? Okay, so let's go back to here. There is a difference. I don't know how sure what comes on the camera, but it put like little darker lines, every other line in the game. It's like the color is just this next shadow down. I don't know. I don't see a real reason for the scanline filter. I don't think it works very well at all. But again, it's a feature that's there if you want it. What else do we have in here? We have a lot of good Activision games in here. Let's go back to alphabetical. Let's say the menu gets a little weird in here. Dragster was a good game. What else do we have on this page here? Capture the Flag is an older game. Gravatar Gyrus. Hero is a very good game people seem to really like. Haunted House is a game I always wanted to like, but I guess got bored in that one. Home Run is a baseball game that looks nothing like a baseball game. But that's on Atari. Now there's Indy 500 right there, and I have a joystick. I'm going to run that right now, because this is a game you really cannot play with a joystick. Now I know for a fact if I put the driver controller on it right now, it's not going to work. It just doesn't register it at all. But I'm going to load the game ROM when we get the BIOS update done on here. But for right now, I'll run it. And using your joystick and your fire button for this game. So scanline filter is obviously on. I do not like that. So let's go to the menu and let's turn that filter off. Go down here. No, off. Okay. Go back to resume game. That looks a lot better. So I'll start the game here, which is this button here. We got our gas, and you're going to turn left to right on your joystick, and it's like this game, you cannot play this with a joystick. Oh my lord. I mean, it's just not a fun game this way. But you can always rewind the game, I guess, and miss your crashes. I can't. It's horrible. Let's go back to quit game. And let's go back to our menu. And let's go back down here. Oh my god, this menu drives me crazy. Okay, what do we have on here? Night Driver, Outlaw. So they do give you a good... If you don't have any of the flashbacks right now, I definitely would say you probably want to go for the 9, just because you have HDMI out and the SD card slot available to play homebrews, which we'll try in a little bit. I don't see any reason why you'd want to go to any of the older versions. Or if you have an older version, you might want to upgrade to the 9. Again, the SD card slot, if it works, should give you a lot of options to play homebrews and official games. But they do give you a good selection here as well. And graphically, with the scan lines off, it does look nice. Yard's Revenge is another good game. Let's just take a quick look at Yard's Revenge. It's a definite classic. And we'll start the game right up. And there we go. Okay, very simple games Atari had, but very fun games. Yeah, come on. There we go. See if I get one shot in here. My God, I'm horrible. There we go. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to put the SD card in here, and we're going to update this and see if it makes any change with the BIOS update, and we'll try and load some Atari homebrew games, or some games on here that, like the Indy 500, we want to try with a paddle controller. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have here an SD card loaded with a BIOS update for the Atari Flashback 9 and some games. We'll use this to update this to enable loading games from the SD card slot. I also got a video touchpad that would be used for star readers. We'll see if this works in the game Star Readers. I also have, let's see here, an original Atari paddle controllers, and this will work in all the breakout style games, and it has a limited direction of movement. Right now it's stopped. I could turn, and now it's stopped again, so I can only go so far, which is why I can't use this for Indy 500. For Indy 500, you need the special driver controller, which looks pretty much identical, you know, to the paddle controller. The only difference is that you can keep turning it. Like although, you know, funny, a car steering wheel can only go so far, but for some reason, on this one, it does go around all the way. And Indy 500 is the only one who supports this particular controller. It was never made for anything else. In fact, when you bought the game in the store, it came with those controllers. And just for giggles, I also have a Coleco Gemini dual controller. You have a joystick and a paddle. This would not work for Indy 500, but it'll work for paddle games. Just see if it works. So my understanding is we're going to put this in upside down. So you're going to put the gold part facing up into the card slot over here. And my understanding is you hold the joystick to the left and turn it on. So let's do that. We're going left. I'm going to turn it on. Okay, so far I've not been able to get the update to work. Now I'm going to turn this thing back off, eject the card. Now the card in here right now is actually a 16 gigabyte SD card. I was able to find an older 2 gigabyte card and put the firmware on here. Let's see if that'll work. Maybe it just has a problem with the larger card. So we put it in, I'm turning the unit on, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I can definitely say you want to find a small SD card. This is a 16 gigabyte card. When I put it in, it didn't do anything. When I put in a 2 gigabyte card, this is what we're looking for. We want to do this upgrade. So I'm not sure if you have any old cards lying around. The file size I think is only 32 meg. So any small SD card is what you're going to need. These larger ones are not going to work, at least to get this firmware upgrade going. I don't know if the games are going to work. We'll try that next. But we're going to say right now, we're going to go, yes, we do want to do the upgrade to activate loading games off the SD card slot. So I press left on the joystick, and it's going through the process right here. And you can see it's doing a nice system update. Really nice little logo there. Which leads me to believe this is something that's probably Android based. My understanding is they might be using a version of Stella on here, which is a very good Atari 2600 emulator. Okay, this time I'm going to say no. And it should boot up normally. Okay, we're in here. Now I'm going to pull out this card right now, because the only thing on here was that firmware upgrade. And I'm going to put this card back in, which has all my games on it. Again, it's a 16 gigabyte. Let's see if it's recognized with the games. So I now have that inside. I'm going to go down, and the firmware update put the music back on. Ugh. All right, let's get that music turned off first before I go crazy. All right, I feel better already. Now let's go back here. I'm going to go back to alphabetical, and I'm going to go all the way to the end and see if we can find an SD card slot. Oh, it's actually all the way down here. I didn't even see that. So I'm going to go all the way down from alphabetical, keep going down, right below about, it's actually hidden. It's instead of being in these white letters, it's kind of like grayed out. And I can't select it, which means it's not recognizing this particular card. So what I'm going to do is, I'll be right back. I got to take the games off of here and move them from this 16 gigabyte card to this 2 gigabyte card. That's kind of stinks that it's not using this larger one, but again, Atari is very small, but these cards are going to be harder to come by. So I'll be right back while I swap the games from my 16 gigabyte to this 2 gigabyte. Okay, I'm back with this 2 gigabyte card, and I've now loaded my games onto here. So again, your gold fingers are going to be facing up. Put it into the card slot, like so. And the SD card now changed. It now went white. So it didn't recognize the other card at all. Kind of sad, but that's okay. Let's go down to it. And we can see you don't have icons of the games, but you do have all the names of it. So let's just see what we can find here, and we'll try something out. Okay, here's a game that was not installed, Berserk. And let's go take a look at that game. Sure enough, there it is. So let's press the start button. And Berserk, the only thing that's missing from it is the speech, which is understandable. Now there are hacked versions that use what's called an Atari Vox, which will give you some speech. But this game is still very fun and pretty accurate to the original. Again, minus the speech. Oh my God, the joystick was okay. Felt it's a little stiff for this particular game. Let's go back to the menu. We're going to quit this game. You know what? I wonder if I can do a save slot here. I'm going to try it. Let's go to save slots. And it does give a save slot. So I'm going to go press it. And we'll exit out. Let's quit the game. And I'm going to go back into Berserk. And it did give it a save slot. So that's kind of nice. I don't know how much space they have. These games are small. They have over 1,000 games on the SD card slot. But I'm not going to go into it right now. It is kind of weird that the screen keeps changing its resolution. It wasn't doing that before. I'm not sure, again, if the BIOS update made some changes, but that's going to get annoying if it keeps doing that. But let's go back here. I want to go back to the menu. Back to the menu. I don't want to go into a save slot. Maybe I have no choice. menu, and then quit the game. Well, let's see what else we have in here. Another game we can try. All right, we have a breakout game. I'm going to pull up breakout. Now, I'm not going to be able to use these controls here. I mean, I can use the joystick, you could see, but you can't play this game with a joystick. You need a paddle. So I'm going to disconnect the Atari joystick here, or the At Games joystick anyway. And I'm going to put in my paddle controllers here. So I got to turn this thing upside down. See, oh, let's see, the wireless joystick. I didn't realize we can use wireless joysticks. The wireless joysticks will not work properly when paddles are plugged in. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to press fire to continue. There we go. And it's got to know which one of these is my, I'm assuming it's this one. So I'm going to start the game here. I got to do it over here. We're going to pick start. And this paddle is not working. And wow. Okay, so the paddles do not work and the machine is getting confused. It keeps flashing to put in the wireless controllers. That's weird. But I'm getting no response here. The fire button is actually moving my paddle. Wow. So my two fire buttons are moving my paddle, but I can't actually use a paddle. Now that's disappointing because I was able to use paddles in the older flashbacks. Wow. The wireless joysticks will not work properly when paddles are plugged in. Please remove paddles. We're not playing a paddle game. I am playing a paddle game. Wow. Okay, that's not a good thing. I'll unplug these, and just for giggles, I'm going to plug in this Coleco one here and see if it makes any difference at all. Let's plug this one in here and see if we can start the game. I get nothing. That's disappointing. Very disappointing. I'm going to put the joystick back in. There we go. And it does work. But this is, you can't play this game with a joystick. And you can see the resolution keeps changing as well, which it wasn't doing before the update. So I'm going to unplug this joystick again that the game is started. And I'm going to again put in my paddle controllers here. Does not work. I'm turning these, it doesn't work, and I keep getting this information up here about the wireless joysticks will not work. Now my understanding is this works with the wire controllers, doesn't even work with the wireless controllers. I could be wrong on that. I didn't see any reference to them in the documentation, but that's really disappointing that it does not work. So I'm going to unplug them because, oh, wow, it's working, but it's so sensitive. It's pretty much unplayable with that. I can't launch the game. Wow. Okay, well that does not work. So that does not bode well for that. So we're going to plug this thing back in here. And go back to menu. And I'm going to quit the game. Now, this is from the SD card slot. I'm going to try playing the built-in version of Breakout and see if that works. So I'm going to come back over here, go up, if I can get up, oh my goodness, and go to Paddle Games. And we can see we have Breakout over here that's built into the flashback. I'm going to pick that version versus the one I loaded from an actual Atari ROM. And let's fire that one up. Okay, it does work, you see, with the joystick. I'm going to, again, remove the joystick and put in true Atari paddles. And once again, we get this alert. And the paddle does not work at all. That is a huge, huge disappointment. I'm already going to say this is now not recommended just because it does not work with paddles. I'm going to continue this review, but I am extremely disappointed that the paddles used to work in the older flashbacks. The driver controller did not, but the paddles did. And the fact that this does not work here in this, to me automatically this is now a avoid it, in my opinion. I'm going to unplug the paddle, plug in the joystick, and you know what? I'm going to try one more thing here just to be sure. I'm going to plug my joystick back in here. I am turning off the machine. I'm going to turn it on one more time. Let it boot up clean. Okay, I'm going to go and pick a paddle game. Again, going to breakout. You know what? How about I try Kaboom? Let's try a different game. Let's try Kaboom and give that a shot. Okay, so we get it to start game, and our 3 buckets work. I'm going to remove the joystick, plug in the original Atari paddles, and once again, we're getting wireless joysticks do not work properly when paddles are plugged in. That is an absolute fail. All right, so the Flashback 9 does not work with any paddle games with actual paddles. You have to use a joystick, which means games like Kaboom and Breakout are, in my opinion, completely unplayable. And that, at this point, unless there's an update that they make, I'd avoid this Flashback 9 just because of that. Now, the other versions are only component out, but you can plug a paddle in and actually play them. That is a huge, huge disappointment in my opinion. I enjoy paddle games, and the fact that this had the potential to have HDMI out and play paddle games with a paddle and it doesn't work? No, not having it, not happy. All right, so I'm going to go back here to the menu and go back down to the SD card slot if I can ever get through this menu to do it. All right, so let's see if I can find some other games that are joystick based that we can at least try on here. So here's Frogger. This should be the Parker Brothers version. Let's see. There we are. Well, let's start the game. And again, you can see the resolution keeps changing and popping back and forth on here. That's real annoying about the resolution. It's really bothering me, actually. Okay, it does obviously work with their joystick. I'm going to unplug this joystick once again. I am going to try plugging in and try to use a joystick here on this Coleco joystick from their Atari clone. That is plugged in. And it does not work at all. So once again, that's not a good thing that it doesn't work with other controllers. So I'm going to go back here and go back to menu and quit the game. And let's see what other games we have here. I'm not sure which Donkey Kong this is. Let's take a look. Oh, that's the original Donkey Kong from Coleco. There is a homebrew game. I have to see if I can find it and see if that works. But there's that resolution change again. I had some actually pretty high hopes for this one with the SD card slot, but the update, the paddle games don't work, other controllers don't work, the screen resolution keeps changing on itself. This is such a bad implementation. It's not even funny. I can't even joke about it. Okay, we have the Space Invaders from the original Atari 2600. Let's see if that works. It was actually a really, really good port. It had 112 game variations, and now you can now play this on this console. Because they, for some reason, never included this version on their other flashbacks. And it plays very well. So that's one good thing. Okay, here is Star Raiders. And Star Raiders used this little keypad right here. Let's see if this will work. If I can get it all untangled here. Doesn't even load the game. Well, so much trying this one out. Another fail. Wow, I'm really disappointed with this one right here. Let me see if I can find Indy 500, and we'll try that one. Indy 500, here we go. So I'm going to disconnect this joystick, and I'm going to plug in this Indy 500 paddle. And let's start the game. And you can see once again, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So I'm actually going to stop this review right here, something I've never done before. I'm extremely disappointed in this Atari Flashback 9. I mean, if you want to play some joystick games on here, HDMI out on the SD card slot, that's fine. But the fact that you can't use any of the controllers or paddle controllers on here is a complete disappointment. And I'm going to actually stop this review right here. My recommendation is don't buy it until AtGames fixes it. I'm done. I'm really disappointed with that. Game on, but don't game on with the Flashback 9. Thank you for watching. Hi everybody. It's been a few days since I ended the video before where I basically said do not buy this, and had a time to calm down a little bit about the paddles not working. Did a little more research. It looks like that AtGames may be releasing a special pair of paddles to work with this. I still don't like that type of business model. They have DB9 connectors on here. They should have had the paddles still work, and other custom controllers for like Star Raiders work with this as is. But it doesn't. So hopefully AtGames will come out with some inexpensive paddles and I can revisit that. But games on here like Kaboom and Breakout, don't even bother trying to play it with the joysticks. It's not good. So what is this one good for? Well, if you don't have an original Atari 2600 or VCS and have special cartridges or a flash cartridge, you can play some games on here you won't be able to play any other way if you don't have an original Atari with a flash cartridge, or going to some place like Atari Age and purchase new games that are being made for the system. Sometimes they offer the ROM as well as the actual physical game. So I did put a couple of homebrews and hacks on here to at least show you that for the $44 I paid for this at Walmart, there's a little value to it versus it being a total waste. They did throw an Android device on here. That's basically what's in here. It's an Android device. I'm not sure what kind it is at this point. But in any case, I didn't want to end the review on such a sour note. I don't like doing that. So let's see what you can do with this. So I'm going to go down here to the SD card all the way at the bottom, right here. Move over, and we have all these games in here. And I'm going to go down to my menu down here, and these are, let's go back a little bit more. Okay, so these are some additional games that I've loaded on here. One really good game is Pac-Man 4K. There's actually a Pac-Man 8K, but I only had Pac-Man 4K readily available to me. So basically, if this game had been released back when the 2600 was in its heyday, and not the Pac-Man we actually got, I think Atari would have had a very different outcome. So we selected that particular game, and you can see it looks a lot more like Pac-Man. So we're going to start this game over here. As you can see, the maze is much more true to the original. The dots obviously are not as small. But again, if we had gotten this over the Pac-Man we did get, it would have been a very, very different outcome for Atari, especially when it came to Pac-Man, which I felt was a, I can't even call it a port. To me, it wasn't even Pac-Man at all. But the Pac-Man 4K here, which is available to download on Atari Age as a free ROM, is really, really good. And it really showcases that the 2600 could have done so much more than what we got. So definitely go on Atari Age. You can take a look at the Pac-Man 4K if you get the Flashback 9 and do the flash update to enable the SD card. Let's see what other games we have on here. So I'm going to go back to the menu. And again, you can also do save slots here as well. So you can always go back to the game later. So just for giggles, I'm going to save a slot to it. Why not? And I'm going to go back and now exit the game in case I ever want to come back to this game. I'll also say that the joysticks do work, but they're not the most responsive. I would rather be able to use original joysticks on here. Maybe mine are flaky. I'm going to probably revisit controls with this again at a later date, but right now I was not able to get them to work. So I'm coming back out here. And let's see what other games we have on here we can take a look at that wasn't released originally on the Atari. I'm not even sure what this one is. It's another Pac-Man. Let's take a quick look at this one and see what it looks like. I have no idea. Okay, it looks like the same game. It could be a different version. Let's just hit start, see if the sound or anything's any different. The sound was a little bit better. But again, you saw what happened here a minute ago. My screen again expanded out, which only started happening after I did the flash update. And now it's shrunk down. So it could be my TV and the way it's refreshing right now. But I can't get the flashback to work on some of my other TVs to test it on. This is the only one that supports 720p, I guess, in the mode that it's doing. So I can't get it to work on any of my other sets, and I have quite a few. So I'm going to come back out of here again. Let's take a look at some other games we may have on here. If I can quit the game, there we go. And let's see what else we have on here. Defender. So there is a Defender Arcade, which I think is a really good port. Again, this came off of Atari Age. And the Defender that was released on the 2600 was okay. But again, when you see a game like this, it's a big, big difference. So again, if you don't have original 2600 hardware with a flash cartridge, or this cartridge in particular, you can load them on your SD card. Oh, I should kill my guy! Ah! And I killed my ship. These are things you can try out that you would normally not be able to. Oh my god. I'm not great at some of these games. Dying way too easy. Let's go a little faster here. So what's my final thoughts on this Flashback 9? Well, I'm not going to lie, I'm disappointed. If I didn't have any other flashbacks, and I just purchased this for $44, I would have really probably been pretty happy with it. I actually own all the flashbacks, and the fact that paddles worked from the original 2600 previously and now don't, and now you have to buy special controllers if they release them, I'm not happy about that. Especially when they put paddle games in there like Kaboom. I mean, it's something you probably want to plug in and start playing Kaboom right away, and you can't play that with a joystick. I'm sorry, you just can't. Also, I'll do more testing on this. I don't know why my screen kept jumping from expanded to less. I couldn't get it working on some other TVs I have, so maybe I'll bring it to a friend's house and see if it does it in his. Maybe it's something to do with my Magnavox set. Maybe it is, because Magnavox actually sued Atari back in the day for stealing Pong. So maybe the TV is programmed not to work with these. I don't know. But ultimately, should you buy this? Well, if you have no other flashbacks, she's in the store at a good price, I guess so. Me personally, I am very disappointed that the paddle support is not here, and you have to buy something special to get that to work. Graphically, it looks fine. It's a 2600, but the screen resolution issues, again, it could be just my set. I'm going to do more testing on it. So this one's is a very mixed bag. I know At Games has been getting some flack lately for a lot of things that they've done with some machines having ROMs on it that weren't supposed to be, or ones that were supposed to be that weren't. And the Genesis flashbacks are not very good. I will say that the portable 2600 and was very, very good. The handheld, I really enjoy that. And the second model of the Sega Genesis one, when you upgrade the emulator, and I'll show you how to do that in another video, makes it very, very good. This is just a bit of a disappointment. Again, if you see it on sale at a good price, I say grab it, just because it's probably going to be hacked and things will happen for this guy, being it's Android based. But at $44, I would say, unless you're a diehard fan, don't have any of these, you might want to pass it by. At Games, I hope you're listening, and we keep telling you guys there's certain things to do to make these things better, and you're just missing the mark again. Nothing more to say on that. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember, game on! Just maybe not with this.
at the Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.